Your next instalment of the AIM iHub Insight series. My name is Stephen Hunt. I'm currently the innovation and industry consultant for AIM, but I helped to found the iHub. And today, I want to talk to you a little bit about what the iHub is, but more importantly, I want to get you kind of really excited for where the music industry is going, and particularly as it relates to technology. So we're going to kick off, and I want to just put up three numbers to start with. So we've got 24, 7, and 1. Now, whenever you see someone do a talk like this, I want you to always scratch out these three numbers in your notebook at the start. And what you want to try to do here is under 24, find some little nugget of information or some idea that was sparked by what you heard that can translate into an action that you can take within 24 hours. So something really simple. It might be just reach out to somebody or connect to someone on LinkedIn or do a bit of research, something really simple and easy. And then I want you to scratch out something that you think might be a bit bigger that you could achieve within a week. And then lastly, something that might take a lot more time and effort that you can do within a month. And if you scratch out these three things and you actually do them, then you're going to find time and time again as you come to these talks and you get inspired and you hear great ideas that they're going to translate into actions and momentum that are going to propel you forward. So don't just sit here and listen, take action, get involved and be part of it. Right, so before we start to dive into things, I just want to set the scene for how lucky we are as individuals to be alive right now. You know, I often think about my own life. I was born in 1981, so I'm 40. And in that time, we went from having a really crappy, big, boxy television that was only had terrestrial channels and they came through a bit crackly and fuzzy, to now we've got flat screen TVs and we can stream anything we want. Musically, you know, back then I had cassettes and they were a pain in the butt. Now you can stream anything you like through streaming services. We've just seen such a rapid improvement in our own lives caused by technology. But if you think about it, and looking here at the cosmic calendar, this is plotting out the 13.8 billion years of history that it's taken to get to this single point. And every year, human life, so, you know, assuming that we live to, on average, be 100 years, which might be the case for people who are born right now, that equates to only 0.23 of a second in this scale. And you can see that, you know, humans didn't even really exist until, where are we, like 9:20 p.m. on the last day of the year, if we're spreading everything out over that kind of period. And so I kind of wanted to set the scene here because what you have the opportunity to do is to harness the greatest change that anyone has ever experienced in the shortest amount of time. Your lifetime is going to compact so much change and so much opportunity that you are going to witness that, you know, as I said, if you were alive in those first sort of human evolution days, the changes were so small. They were happening over, you know, thousands of years, if not, you know, what we're seeing now is happening over literally like months, and it's getting exponentially faster. So compound that with the fact that we live on Earth, and I want to take you on a quick journey now from outside the edge of our observable universe all the way down to Earth, just to help you remember how insignificantly small we are, but also to help you remind you how lucky we are to even have life at all. So check this out. Trippy, huh? So that was us zooming in from outside the edge of our observable universe all the way down to a person on Earth. And again, you know, just think of how much time has passed for that universe to expand that far away. But as I said, it's the most exciting time to be alive in the history of being a human. The rate of change from technology is now surpassing human adaptability, and that's leading to all sorts of amazing innovations. And I guess that's kind of what the AIM iHub is here to address. So if you're not familiar with it, we are a startup incubator designed for music startups. We're the only one of its kind in the whole Southern Hemisphere. And we have close relationships to a few people in the Northern Hemisphere who are doing a similar thing, such as Abbey Road Red and Techstars in Silicon Valley, Techstars Music. But we believe that the future sounds different, and we exist to engage with the student population as well as the startup population and find mutual benefit. So effectively what we built, we launched last year at ARIA Week in November, and we built a community of innovators. So it's people who are really passionate, whether they be mentors or experts, coming together with investors who want to support startups, and then a community of industry partners who really want to be driving the future of the industry forward. And what we're starting to find is that music, or the innovation of music, is crossing borders with other industries, such as music, and what we'll look at today is virtual reality as well. And in fact, in our startup incubator, we have 7 startups, 3 of them relate to health. As we came up to launching last November, we did a hackathon. So this was where we put up a $5,000 prize for anyone who has a great idea, and we set them a challenge of come up with an idea that improves mental well-being using music, or come up with an idea that improves physical well-being with music. Out of that, we ended up having 16 teams register. Of the 16 teams, they went through a couple of weeks of working on their ideas. We had 9 of them complete, and of the 9, there were 4 or 5 that were just really well-formed concepts, and 2 of them actually graduated into the incubator itself. So we were lucky enough to have partnerships from Universal and ARIA, where Universal had given us 100,000 tracks that our teams could use to develop their ideas and their prototypes, and ARIA offered up all of the data in their archives if people wanted to use that to make an idea. But we've been live this year with our first cohort. We've got Music Health, which is creating a wellness service using music to help people with dementia find their memories again. It's really phenomenal. 2030 Records, you probably know, that's the student-run record label of AIM. We've got Serenade, which is a little bit like Cameo if you know it, but Serenade allows musicians to get paid by their fans for playing the music in a personal one-on-one video. Artbase is a marketplace helping artists get paid. Personal is an AI startup that listens to music the way the human brain does and categorises it and puts out tons of really rich metadata. Listen Up Music is a not-for-profit focused on improving mental health outcomes for the music industry. And then Inverse is a VR startup which is trying to evolve the live music experience into the virtual world. And we'll talk a bit about some of that today. So hopefully that sets the stage for innovation in music, which is the whole purpose of what we do. But today I want to talk about some of the big megatrends. And I've titled this, The Fourth Industrial Revolution is Here. So what does that mean? Well, the first industrial revolution was the mechanisation of steam and water coming together to create power. And think of the locomotive as a great example. And then as we went into the second industrial revolution, we talked about mass production, the arrival of electricity. We've all been living through the third recently, which is the rise of electronic ecosystems, the internet, automation, and so on. And we're moving now into the fourth, which is cyber-physical systems. And to bring that to life, we'll start to look at a few of these things, and so break that up a bit. In the fourth industrial revolution, if we think about it in the terms of digital, biological, and physical, you can see the things that are surrounding it. And today I'm going to spend a bit of time just talking about artificial intelligence as it relates to music, and then also virtual reality, augmented reality as it relates to music. I'll save it for another session with another speaker because we've got some experts in our mentor group. but blockchain is also a really, really big one that's impacting the music industry. And you can think of things like NFTs, non-fungible tokens, which are making a lot of news at the moment. Blockchain can also be used to address royalties and micropayments and all sorts of things. So there's exciting things there. We will not go into that today. Suffice to say, we're going to focus on artificial intelligence and the what I call XR, augmented reality, virtual reality and mixed reality. Right, so these are my kids. You got Rio up the back left, Xavier back right, and this delight in the middle is Miller. She's now 4. This was taken a couple of years ago. But I think a lot about the future that I'm preparing them for. And it's really interesting to think about little Miller, and especially as I drive her around in my car. And I sort of struggle to think that she'll ever need to learn how to drive. By the time that comes around for her, cars might look something like this, where you get into quite a relaxed environment, more like boarding a plane. You put in your destination, you probably don't even own it, you're just renting it like an Uber, and off you go. You can spend time reading, sleeping, relaxing, watching TV. And automotive companies know this. They're starting to think about their cars as being the next living room. And in such, they're starting to think about the types of providing services, whether it be music or film entertainment, and creating their own versions of things like Netflix and Spotify for the customers so that they can own their environment and really own their customer. But yeah, poor old Miller probably won't learn to drive unless she's driving a tractor at my dad's farm. But as I said, today we want to focus on AR and VR and artificial intelligence. So what do you guys want to do first? Blue pill, AI. Red pill, we go down VR, AR. Blue pill? Okay, we'll go down blue pill. All right, so AI. If you haven't heard of the singularity is talked about a lot when it comes to artificial intelligence or what's otherwise known as machine learning. It's projected that by 2045, machine power will surpass the brain power equivalent of all humans combined, hence being called the singularity. And so that's going to happen in most of our lifetimes, which is kind of crazy. And we're already at the point where machine power is about to surpass the power of the human brain. That's scheduled to happen in like a little over a year and a half. So there's a lot of, as you can see, a lot of advances and a lot of stuff that's happening here. I want to start to bring this back to how it relates to music though. So have a think about, and I love going to Hollywood to illustrate the future because it looks so good and they tell such great stories. But just imagine if Siri is a little bit more powerful than she is today, and you've actually got a virtual assistant that you can bond with, and the movie Her sort of brought this to life.
What are you doing?
I'm just looking at the world and writing a new piano piece.
Oh yeah? Can I hear it?
Mm-hmm.
What's this one about?
Well, I was thinking we don't really have any photographs of us, and I thought this song could be like a photograph. Captures us in this moment in our lives together.
All right, so you can hear there, the AI has composed a really beautiful piece specifically for, I guess its customer, its owner. And you're probably wondering, well, you know, is it really possible for machines to compose? Like, it's such a creative human thing. Well, I thought I might bring you up to speed with where this is at today. It's an incredibly competitive space when you look at the crossover of music and AI. And it's something that in Australia we should really be celebrating because out of all of the logos here on the page, there's 4 of them are Australian. So Personal and Music Health, which are already here now, Incubator. Also Pop Gun, who we know really well, and Uncanny Valley, who are also in Sydney. And so between these different companies, a lot of them are focused on AI composition or AI production or supporting humans in doing their creative work better, or in the case of music health, it's AI selection. But yeah, you're probably wondering, well, how advanced is this at the moment? Well, the next video I want to play you is an orchestra performing a piece of music that was purely written by Ava. And Ava is an artificial intelligence composition tool. So Ava was fed a bunch of different ideas as stimulus and then asked to go and write something based on keywords, like some moods and things like that. And yeah, the one thing I'll stress is that at the moment, AI actually performing music is still, you know, pretty nascent, though Pop Gun are probably the world leaders in this at the moment. But AI being able to compose is very advanced. So let's have a listen.
2, 3, 5.
Pretty good, huh? So Ava is actually, as a commercial business, attempting to solve for sound tracking to film. So what they want to be able to do is put the visual of what the film is going to do, the scene, and have the AI interpret that visual and compose for it in real time. So really interesting. Another company that's doing really interesting work here is Google, funnily enough. So they have really bet the house on applying AI and machine learning to just about everything. And Magenta started as a little side project, but it's really gained some steam. And the guys in Australia here at Google have been doing some really interesting work with this. I had the pleasure of doing a bit of that when I was at my previous company. So this is open source. So if you are a composer or a musician or you work in a studio, you can download Magenta into a DAW like Ableton Live, and you can start to use artificial intelligence to help you overcome different issues that you might come across the way. So an example here is you've got generate 4 bars. So I could put in 4 bars of melody. It might be da 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 da, something super basic. That wasn't even 4 bars, but I could play something like that and then go generate. And what it's going to do is look at the pattern, the key, the rhythm that I had in that MIDI, and then it's going to suggest to me an alternative that should follow on. And I can hit regenerate, 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 and get lots of different iterations until I find something that sounds good to me, that is a nice follow-on from where I'm at. And this can really help people overcome, you know, their kind of creative blocks when they get a bit stumped, or it might just add a lot of uniqueness and variation into something that you're already doing. So I highly encourage you to download Magenta and have a play with it. But let's see it in real life being used by one of my favourite bands, the Flaming Jets.
Any time that the Flaming Lips have stumbled upon a new little instrument, it's changed what we created.
The goal of the Magenta team is to really explore the role of machine learning in creativity in the creative process to enable people to express themselves in new ways. Piano Genie is the great work of an intern we had, Chris Donahue. He designed an algorithm to be able to take piano playing and try to reproduce the piano playing only hitting a couple buttons on a controller. And it naturally comes out sounding a lot more like a professional piano player.
One of the things that we really focus on is how can we let people manipulate these algorithms.
It's been really exciting collaborating with the Flaming Lips because they're so creative in their approach to music that we just sort of show them everything we have. We're hoping to create a new experience where the audience can co-create music with the band in real time using Piano Genie.
So we made an intelligent musical instrument and melody creator out of fruit with Google. When I played the fruit, I'm touching it, and I didn't know exactly what it was going to do every time. Each one is announcing what it is.
Banana, green apple.
So we worked with Google AI, and they sent us the software called Piano Genie. You hit a note, and it automatically plays music. And the more that we play with it, the more it understands what it's playing against and who it's playing with. So you play a different rhythm or a different note, and this goes on and on. So it actually wrote a melody that we would not have written. You're kind of encouraging the machine to do something. It's kind of cool.
If you're a banana, that's pretty good for a banana.
Of course the Flaming Lips are playing fruit that has a futuristic algorithm that's going to help them create a song. Of course they would.
Strawberry.
The balloons in the crowd and the fruit bowl on stage are basically two sides of the same coin. They all feed into the same radio network. In other words, every time someone from the crowd interacts with one of our balloons, it creates music using the Piano Genie network.
And then at some point, the more that they play with it, the more the algorithm is going to start to be encouraged or go into another dimension. I think that's a great musical moment.
We've written a song especially for tonight's occasion.
At the end of the day, that's what these algorithms and all these things are doing. They're just sitting there helping you. And I want that. That's a new beginning.
This is open source stuff. You saw the links there at the end, so you can feel free to go and check that out. But as we get to the end of talking about AI, it's important to ponder the ethics of it. So there's a big concern that as these tools evolve, they're going to take money away from human songwriters. They're going to take money away from human performers, potentially. And as we all know, it's hard enough to sort of be a success in the music industry as it is. So I was part of a global coalition a couple of years ago where we started to talk about these challenges. And as an industry, we were talking about the idea of trying to put some rules in place, and particularly as it pertained to the flow of royalties and money, such that if music is released onto the streaming platforms or other places where it's monetized, that it receives a much smaller royalty if it's created by a machine rather than a human. Great idea in theory, quite difficult to execute in practice, but those were some of the things that we were thinking about. And so it's going to be really interesting just to see how that space evolves. But I guess the main thing before we move on that I want to stress is the future really is here. This space is maturing quickly. All right, let's go back to the other pill, and we'll talk about XR. So XR, the X is basically interchangeable for an M, a V, or an A. The distinction here is that an M stands for mixed reality. The V is for virtual reality, so think of living in a fully virtual and contained environment. And then the A is augmented, so this is the real world overlaid with a digital information. So let's start to dive into these things a little bit, and again, you'll probably see a few things here from Hollywood as a
basically going to be playing the full EP for the first time, and we're going to be doing this live virtual reality listening party at 3 PST, which is in a couple hours, and I'm super stoked because I was just watching it with my own eyes with the headset, and it's literally the most insane thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, nothing compares to what I just saw. It's like you're completely in a different world, and it's the most like res looking thing I've ever, it's like literally a world, the world of res, I guess. Like, it's like being at my concert, but also being there like with the visuals above you, to side, like a whole world of it, not just watching it on a screen. And also, the actual stage setup that you're gonna see is what my stage setup is gonna be when I go on tour in the fall, which is absolutely insane in general. Up if you can hear me right now. Put your hands up. Put your little alien hands up. Yup, I see you. Keep going. Everybody. Yup. Wow, do you guys see my fingers right now? I'm literally giving you the peace sign right now. Look at her. Hello. Wow, the one in the front there looks actually really cute. Like, can I get your number or something? Or
pretty cool, huh? So each of those little alien-like things was someone who was attending the concert. She had 90,000 plus attend her virtual concert, and many of you probably haven't heard of Rez. Like, she's not a huge star, but to be able to effectively fill out the MCG by doing a concert in VR, I think just signals the huge opportunity there is here. And you're probably wondering, well, how do you do that? Like, she created a digital version of herself that was designed. She was actually using a lot of different equipment, but part of it was a Kinect, which is made by Microsoft for the Xbox, and that sort of helped capture her movements and translate them back into her digital body. So this space is really interesting, particularly to me. I think it's somewhere that record labels need to be thinking about when they're signing, because if the Gorillaz taught us anything, it's that you don't actually have to be a bunch of humans to be a really successful musical act. They're effectively, amazing musicians, we know, and we know who they are, but they present as cartoon characters. And that concept, I think, can really take new legs when we think about the VR space. So anyway, but as that evolves, let's look to Hollywood again for the future of where it could go if we fast forward.
And I ended up here. Sitting here in my tiny corner of nowhere. There's nowhere left to go. Nowhere. Except the Oasis. A whole virtual universe. People come to the Oasis for all the things they can do. But they stay because of all the things they can be.
Can you feel this?
Yeah, so I mean, hopefully it's not that dystopian, but you can see that VR could evolve to really displace a lot of real world things that we do. And in doing so, that movie just demonstrates this kind of evolution from not just wearing some headsets and goggles, but also body vests, so you feel, you smell like you really kind of are there. But how do you achieve this today? Well, it's primarily through the use of motion capture suits. So you can create your own animated version of yourself as an artist, but then wearing one of these, you can actually broadcast yourself around the world. You could perform virtually in any time zone. You could even go and sit on the couch in Jimmy Kimmel as your character, as long as you were shot in a studio like this with a green screen. But I want to show you an example here of another artist who just used this technology to create a film clip, and so watch for the transition at the end of this clip where we go from the actual clip to the recording of it. Awesome. So hopefully that starts to bring it to life. And I actually think that progressive labels are going to start building out the capability to record these things. Now, once you are a digital character and you can operate in a virtual world, you need an audience, right? And it's not lost on me that currently there aren't huge audiences in VR. So the immediate opportunity is to take that digital character into the world of gaming, where there are huge audiences. You kind of have to approach this kind of game by game, but you can see Fortnite, the big behemoth there with 200 million sort of followers. I think it's probably grown considerably since I got that stat. League of Legends has been around for ages. And to give you an example of how an artist might work in these, I want to show you how KDA use augmented reality to come to life in the League of Legends World Championships, but then also Marshmallow, and we'll start with Marshmallow. Marshmallow created a digital version of himself and then performed in Fortnite and managed to pull an audience of 12 million people, which is just insane because you can't ever perform to that many people in real life, but was able to do it within a game. So let's have a look at that.
What's up, Pleasant Park? My name is Marshmallow, and thank you for coming out today and making history with me. You guys ready? Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go!
Awesome. I mean, you got to remember that when you're in these environments, creatively, there's no more limits. Marshmallow could have made himself like 50 stories high. Like there's really, you're completely unbound to be as creative as you like and not respect the world. It's the laws of physics and things in the real world. Oh, let's look at KDA.
Coming round again. You want a dose of this right now? It's KDA. I'm a goddess with a blaze. 소리 쳐봐 나 이래. 믿지 못해 yeah. Loud, 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 loud. I can take you to the top. 절대 멈추지 못해. 내가 끝내주는 bang, yeah, yeah, yeah. And when I start to talk like that, oh, you know how to react.
So that just blew people's minds when it happened. You know, this mixture of augmented reality with real world performers. So that's kind of it for today. Hopefully that gives you a bit of inspiration into where things are going, where they could head. And as I said, the AIM iHub exists to try to do this on behalf of the Australian industry. We're looking for people who want to challenge the status quo, who want to build for tomorrow, and who've got great ideas. And we exist just to help you bring those ideas to life, whether it be through validating a concept, to perhaps helping you incorporate it as a company, to perhaps raising money for your company so that you can actually get going and scale, and then helping you globalize that concept. So there's lots of things we can do, but I suppose the most important thing that's pertinent at the moment is that we're rolling out tons of education and events just like this. So I've got a lot of speakers that are going to be coming in and doing these lunchtime sessions. They're going to be rolling out throughout the year, and I'm really encouraging the audience to be students and founders and anyone from the industry who really wants to come in and listen. But these are going to cover things from talking about how to navigate legal as a music startup, or maybe, as I said, we'll get a blockchain expert to talk about the evolution of that and explain what it is, because it's quite something to unpick if you don't already know. We've recently been accepted into this year's Vivid program. So on the 7th of August, we're hosting an event with SEMA called The Future Sounds Different, where we're going to talk a lot about the things I just spoke about today, but then follow into some live performances by truly innovative musicians. That's also they're going to flow into SparkFest, where we're putting on an event for investor education. And then next year, I'm trying to actually pull off a whole innovation conference for music innovation, talking to ARIA and a few other partners about that. So please look out for the events and come and attend them. And we'd love you to get more involved with us. And I'll just leave you with this quote. You know, the essential thing in life is this: be able at any moment to sacrifice what we are for what we could be. And that's really how we live and breathe things in the startup world. But thank you very much. I hope you have a really great rest of the week and you're not getting too affected by the lockdowns. Adios.